right, guys, welcome back to Miraculous Mamas with Liz, and continuing on with Amber from last week, and she's an amazing surrogate. From last week, you guys know that she's like this all-natural woman who lives in the mountains and does crazy things and has these crazy birth stories, and she has so much information on surrogacy, and all of her births have been so different, which I know is something that you guys can kind of relate to. We've talked to people who didn't quite make it to the hospital before, and we've talked to people who need that epidural to open up, which you said you did, Amber, but the last one, he just came.
Oh, the joke's on me.
Joke's on you. And, you know, just kind of, you've been so open with us about so many different things that you need and knowing like your body and all, you know, so that's awesome. And I know that so many people can relate to that, but I know that, we ended the last one. I mean, I know that you said your doula, you had gotten the flu, and she gave you the Chloral Fresh, and, you're just kind of beginning to talk about the different healings from all of your journeys of birth.
Yeah. I'd love to just touch on even backtracking a little bit and talking about prepping for pregnancy. You know, you have to remember that this baby is living off of you like a parasite, in a horrible way of putting it. And, you know, if you really want to prepare to be the best mom you can be when this baby exits you, then you really need to build yourself up and restore as much as you possibly can before you even get pregnant. And so just making sure that so much of our society right now is having a hard time with fertility.
Yeah.
And I really believe that we are so depleted, even when we're taking nutrition. The majority of us have so much mucus lining our intestines that we can't absorb nutrients. And our small intestine, that's its job, is to absorb nutrients. So if we're eating a diet of fast food and just cruddy food, there's so much mucus, we can't absorb anything. I think now it's 80% of our population is malnourished. And we are not a third world country, people, but we live in a fast-paced society where it's quicker and easier to go to fast food every single night or use a microwaved meal than anything else. And if you're going to really prepare yourself to have a baby and you really want to be as prepared as possible, just don't forget the aspect of nutrition and building yourself up so that when this baby takes everything away from you between pregnancy and then nursing, that you aren't so depleted that you can't be a mom. And it wouldn't be your fault. It's not a thing to guilt yourself over. It's a thing of preparation.
Well,
and
that's
preparing.
the thing too, right? Like, we understand that it feels like everybody's so busy these days. And I mean, you hit the nail on the head when you said preparation. I mean, it feels like you don't have time almost to take care of yourself, but that's why you have to be prepared. And I know for me, like, I do the best when I do, like when I plan, like, okay, if I'm going to be running around and I'm hungry, I have to have something that I can eat instead of going to those other options. It's so funny though, because I've never been a huge fast food person, and Vito and I have been crazy the last couple weeks, and I have eaten fast food, and my guilty pleasure is a bean and cheese burrito from Taco Bell. I don't care what you say. It's delicious.
I have not had fast food in like 10 years.
Well, Amber, you're just better than me. So I went years without Taco Bell, basically. And I've probably had it like, actually, no, this is just the new year. Okay, I've only had it once in the new year, but maybe twice. But that is more than the usual for me. But I think being prepared.
You and I agree on this, that food is an addiction too, like anything else.
100%. Yeah.
Sugars, animal protein, like the amount of work our body puts into digesting animal protein to a usable form is ridiculous. So knowing how to get protein from not just animal, and I'm not saying become vegan or vegetarian, but just knowing that there's all these different sources and variety is key, and finding what works for your body is key. And pregnancy is going to throw you through a loop. And you're going to not like things that always worked for you in the past.
Right.
Like I could not eat any animal except scrambled eggs. Well, I was pregnant with William. Everything else made me throw up, even once I wasn't throwing up. I could only eat scrambled eggs. So I had the supplement. For all my pregnancies, I have weird food versions. I don't get the usual cravings that people get. I don't crave meat. I don't crave food, period, really. I like have to make myself eat because I was sick so much and I still gain weight. What's crazy. Yeah. My metabolism shuts down and says.
That was another thing that you mentioned that I felt like is really important, is that you said I gain a lot of weight during all my pregnancies. And I feel like that's my sister, Corinne, is kind of the same way. But I feel like that's something that's important to address too, because so many women, they're like, oh, the average is this to this. I'm way more than that. And it's like, your body may need more. Your body may need to retain more water. Your body may need to retain whatever it is, because that's how your body, that's what's normal for you in pregnancy. Like I had a woman on a few weeks ago who was talking about what's normal for her in pregnancy is 42 weeks. So, and what's normal for you was going early. And we have this, oh, here's your due date. You're not due, so we're going to induce you. Or here's the standard weight you should gain, blah, 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 blah. And it's knowing, do I feel healthy? Do I feel good? Am I, whatever, like learning how to be in tune with your body. And let's say each pregnancy you gained more than usual. Okay, maybe that's what's normal for you, and just like learning those normals for you. Like, yes, there is the scale, I mean, obviously it's different if when you're pregnant, you are just downing tons and tons and tons of food, that's not healthy for you. And you're using that as an excuse to gain, but your body is going to crave different things. Your body is going to need different things. And you need to learn what's healthy for you, because it might not be on that scale of the poster that's on someone's office wall,
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing I would love people to take away from this is don't just worry about your prenatals, but get on a probiotic and a digestive enzyme. And if you're taking digestive enzymes with food, it's working for your intestines. But if you're taking it on an empty stomach, it will help your skin and your organs.
Oh, I didn't know that. I really take it with food. I take it with my biggest meal of the day.
You should. But if you're somebody that's having issues with your skin, take it at night before bed after you've stopped eating, like an hour, say you had dinner at 7 and you're going to bed at 10, have it at like 9:45 right before, because it will, the second we're born, our enzymes are depleting and every cell in your body needs enzymes. So it's not just working for digestion.
Yeah.
Like enzymes.
I take a probiotic every morning and a digestive enzyme every day. That's also because I have digestive issues, which I talk about a lot on this podcast. Yes. But it is super important for sure. All right. I have another little story to tell you guys. So I have been working very hard to convince Vito to let me get a dog. It's not that he doesn't like dogs. He does. But two things have helped me convince him. One is his brother got a dog who we're falling in love with. And two, I'm not giving him any other options. But no, so we are going to start seriously dog looking very soon. And like I said, Vito's brother got a dog. It's a beautiful 6-month Cane Corso who's just like the biggest lover and teddy bear ever. And I had talked to his brother about the nutrition for his dog, and he uses Pupo. And it's a company I had heard of and done research on. And I'm one of those people that just researches things. So I'm like, okay, if we get a dog, how are we going to make sure that they're healthy? And Pupo is the way to go. So I was asking him all these questions, and he said that his dog seriously loves this food so much. But what is so impressive about Pupo is that when you go online, it's such personalized nutrition. There's pet nutritionists involved. There's such quality ingredients. There's no artificial flavors, colors, preservatives. And so many people consider a dog a part of their family. And you want to take care of your family, right? And they have a smart delivery system. And it's seriously delicious food. I mean, I didn't try it, but I see the way that Romeo, that's the dog, the way he eats it. But here's how you know that they just really care and that it is a personalized company, because when you go to pick out your dog's nutrition, you have to enter things like, their age, because that matters, the size of the dog, their mouth size. Did you know that mouth size is a thing when it comes to your dog's nutrition and what they're eating? Their activity levels. There's some that are couch potatoes and just run around, right? If there's any special needs, if they have a dull coat, you can get something to help it shine a little bit. If they have food sensitivities that you're aware of, a healthy weight that maybe your dog isn't at or needs to be, or maybe they're overweight, flavor preferences, if you know what those are for your dog. And then also the immunity to outdoors. If your dog spends a lot of times outdoors, they need to maintain a healthy immune system with powerful nutrients like E and A and zinc and a good healthy protein. So I'm sure a lot of these things you haven't even thought of when you go to buy your dog food, right? But these things are so important. And that is why Pupo is such an amazing company. And we have an offer for you guys. If you visit pupo.com/babes, you will get 14 days of personalized dog food delivered for only $9. That is pupo.com/babe. And you get 14 days of personalized dog food made specifically for your dog for only $9. That's PUPPO.com/babes. So you had mentioned before too about just like your body. So one thing Vito and we're not ready to have kids yet, but we would love to. And we've talked a lot about a fertility diet, and basically this next year when we get back from our honeymoon and everything, kind of focusing on getting super healthy so that I can have a healthy pregnancy and we could be healthy parents and stuff like that. So he's big on, like, he's gone and gotten his blood work done and seen, he goes to like an all natural person. Right. I'm actually about ready to do a fertility test. I've never done one before, and I'm really nervous, but just doing it out of curiosity. I think I'm really fertile. My family's really fertile. I get my periods pretty regularly, and I can tell when I'm ovulating. So I feel like I have a healthy cycle,
Yeah. But for women out there that are told that maybe they're not as fertile as they had hoped, I hope that they don't take that and let it settle in, because so many times Western medicine is wrong. And so many times Western medicine only looks at certain tests. And so many times then emotionally you settle that in to be a part of you. And that's what makes it so much harder to get pregnant, is that you are now making that who you are. I can't get pregnant. And the more you say that, the more you're not going to get pregnant. There's a huge mindset around this. Our bodies are electrical, spiritual beings, whether you believe in whatever religion it is. There's no doubt that we're electrical and we're spiritual in some way.
You can't really deny energy. Energy flows kind of through everything, and there's definitely a difference. You can tell when it's catabolic or anabolic, like whether it's positive or negative,
Yes.
I do agree with that. And I do feel like there are so many, I've known a lot of people who have gotten tested for fertility and been told one thing, and just the stress of that has also helped kind of prevented pregnancy. But don't rule out everything. I know that there's a lot of people that listen to this podcast that are medical people and firm believers in that. And there's people who go extremely the other way. So there's kind of a huge spectrum, I guess. And I think that I do believe that, food is medicine 100%. And I'm very interested in what you mentioned last episode about doing like a liver detox. Like that might be something to look into if you're having fertility issues, it can't hurt you. Doing a liver detox can't hurt. Either way, it could be very healthy,
Yes. Yes. Any way you're cleaning your body up is not going to hurt you in your
absolutely
progression of having children.
Right.
And then once you get pregnant, so this took me 4 pregnancies to find out. But with each pregnancy, I got yeastier and yeastier. And I had never had a yeast infection or bladder infection in my entire life until my second pregnancy. And so I started researching.
What about like a urinary tract infection? Have you had one of those before?
Never.
What?
And so,
they're the worst.
when I started having yeast issues, finally this one started the earliest. So I researched it. If our estrogen levels are off, our bodies cannot naturally balance the pH in our vagina, which then enables yeast to overproduce. And so it's like literally every pregnancy I've had, for me, my estrogen levels doubled or tripled. So this time my estrogen levels were so high, they were pretty sure I was pregnant with twins.
Wow.
Because I had like triplet levels. And it's not, estrogen levels and pregnancy is not a science. They tell you that. The doctors tell you that. Like, yes, this could mean you're pregnant with twins or triplets, but it doesn't necessarily prove it until we do an ultrasound. But because of that, every time with my estrogen would get higher, my yeast got worse. And I don't want to be on meds. I don't want to take anything for it, because that's what the doctor wanted to do. Oh, let me give you something for that. So I had to do, for me, I had to do an Epsom salt bath every single week and an apple cider bath every single week.
What's an apple cider bath? How much do you put in it?
So no matter what, first you neutralize your water. So you do 1/4 to a half a cup of baking soda to neutralize your water. And then for apple cider in one bathtub, you do a cup. And apple cider vinegar is great because it is close to the right pH for your vagina. And if you cannot take a bath, say you don't have a bathtub, you can make a water spray dilution and spritz it down there. And then my doula actually said that she recommended you get a probiotic that you can insert in your vagina. For me, that's not something I wanted to walk around with inside of me. So I would rather have excuses to take baths.
Right. Well, what I did once, I really haven't had a yeast infection that I know of. I had a doctor once. I was getting an exam. What's it called? A pap smear. And she was like, "Oh, you have a slight yeast infection," because my discharge is different during different phases of my cycle. And to me, I was like, when she did it, I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm ovulating right now. When I'm ovulating, my discharge is a little bit thicker and whiter, and which could sometimes be a sign of like a yeast infection." So, but one time when I thought that I was getting one, I just inserted a garlic clove up there and slept with it overnight, and then took it out the next day, and I was fine. Yeah. But I also don't know if you can do that while you're pregnant.
As far as I know, you can. I mean, they say mostly be careful your first trimester. Don't do anything weird or different your first trimester that you haven't done in the past. But like I've used essential oils for all my other pregnancies, and I just used Melaleuca diluted down there and some frankincense, and it always worked. But this time it wasn't enough. It was like I had to use so much of it. And so bathing in it and being able to balance my pH, then I could put my essential oils on, and it together worked. And I was still on probiotics, still on digestive enzymes, still on prenatals, but I just couldn't keep up without the baths. So just having that in your back pocket, if it's something that happens to you. And, I've seen 1 to 200 vaginas, and women are constantly
I can name a handload of those people.
I mean, women are constantly, going through ebb and flow of being a little yeasty and not yeasty, a little, because you can tell the skin even changes down there, even if you don't have discharge. But that's just our American diet, our fast-paced living, our not always being able to have self-care. And it's nothing, it's just having something in your back pocket so you don't always think you have to go and get an over-the-counter or prescription to take care of it, because you're always going to have to do something for those side effects. Or if you have something natural, because you're borderline, you're not full-blown, it's not hurting anything, then you can take care of it on your own.
Well, I feel like that's what's big for me is if it's borderline. So I'm susceptible to cold sores sometimes. And if I start getting stressed, I can start to feel one. But then I'll just take a bunch of lysine, but I have to counteract that with probiotics and acidophilus, because that can cause actually yeast infections. But I'm pretty in tune with my body. So like that one time I felt like I was possibly getting a yeast infection. So I just did the garlic thing because I'm like, what can that hurt? So for me, it's like, okay, I kind of feel this coming on. So I'm going to treat it now. And hopefully that nips it in the butt before I have to take further precaution, But I think what happens is a lot of times it's just easier to like maybe get something because you don't know what to do at home.
Yeah.
Exactly. To prevent it.
Definitely.
All right. I'm going to tell you guys a little story about the week between Vito and I's wedding. We had a wedding in Montana, then a reception in Chicago, and we had 20 plus people over at our house. We'd been out of town. All we had was snack food around, and it's dinner time, and everybody wants different things. And guess who came to our rescue? Postmates. And we literally ordered from a couple different phones from a few different restaurants, and everything actually ended up coming around the same time, and everyone got what they wanted. We ate Chinese, we ate Chipotle, we ate pizza, and everyone was happy. And it took the stress away from us from having to be like, crap, what are we going to feed everyone? What are we going to make for dinner really quick? Is someone going to run somewhere? But we hadn't seen our family in forever. So we all wanted to hang out and not have to leave the house. And that's why Postmates, it's your personal food delivery service. It also delivers groceries though. Whatever you can think of, delivery service all year round. And you don't have to take those trips to the store. Like I said, you're having a great conversation. You want more wine, Postmates. You want to order some dinner, Postmates. You want a case of water, Postmates. They literally bring you whatever you want. And you can download the app for free and browse local restaurants, businesses, and you track your delivery. They're available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and they'll bring you what you want within an hour. Anything you're craving, they can deliver to you. They're the largest on-demand network in the known universe with more than 25,000 partner merchants. And for a limited time, Postmates is giving the listeners $100 of free delivery credit for your first 7 days. So to start your free deliveries, download the app right now and use code BABES100. That's code BABES100 for free delivery credit for your first 7 days when you download the Postmates app. Get anything you need, anytime you need it. Download Postmates and save with code BABES100. We said we were going to talk about vaginal health. That's a lot of vaginal health. But I also want to know, you said, speaking of vaginas, you haven't torn.
Yes. So I will share my secret. And the only reason I know this works. So I had a client this pregnancy who had her baby a week before I did, or 2 weeks, something like that. And so this is her second baby. She tore horribly with her first baby.
Oh, wow.
So I sugared her. And so she was already getting more varicose veins and on her vagina and on her legs that were painful. And it's only her second pregnancy and she's younger than me. So I made her the same roller the same blend I use to stop tearing. Works really good for varicose veins, skin health, all that type of stuff. So I just told her, I'm going to make you this blend. You're going to try it and you're going to use it your whole last trimester. I would say I use it for the last month-ish, but I know I don't tear, so I don't worry as much. Since she tore, I got it to her 3 months before she was due.
Yeah.
And she rolled it all the way down to her ankles because of the varicose vein she was having and all of her vagina. So she used it way more than even I told her to. But she did not tear this baby, and he was bigger than her first. And so for me, that was like success story.
Yeah, yeah.
Because most of the moms I give this blend to, it was their first baby, and then they don't tear. And I'm like, well, would you have torn? I don't know. So my first baby was 5'14", my next one was 7'10", and my third kid was 8'10", and then William was 6'10". So I've had every weight. I don't have any stretch marks and I don't tear. So I thought, well, maybe my body literally is made just to have babies, and I am just magical.
Right. I'm a magical human being. So it's no big deal.
So I use doTERRA. So if you use doTERRA, I take frankincense, geranium, and helichrysum, and they're all super expensive. So if you want to make it the cheapest, you do the most geranium. Geranium reproduces DNA in your cells faster than a normal rate. So you're reproducing healthy skin cells faster, which you need down there. Frankincense is an all over. It's good for your skin. It's good for your immune system. It's good for your cells. It's good for apoptosis, which is making sure you get rid of the bad cells and keep the healthy cells. And then helichrysum is like the icing on the cake, because helichrysum is a blood oil.
Yeah.
It is adaptogenic, so it helps with blood. And down there, you've got a whole lot of blood going on. And so for me, too, I'm a bleeder. My mom almost bled out and died having me. So for me, helichrysum is big. Now, doTERRA just came out with yarrow palm, and I had so much research behind herbal yarrow that I got really excited. And this last time I added it, and it's actually less expensive because it comes in a big old bottle. And so I actually put that in there too, to lower the cost, and it really helps absorb nutrient or moisture. So it keeps it really moist. And so I use that at least your last month. And then those same blend will help you heal. So, I don't tear, but I still swell. I still am bleeding because my uterus is shedding. I still have all those other healing things to go through. I tend to get internal hemorrhoids afterwards for the first 2 or 3 months after going through labor. So all those oils help all those things too. So you literally can go from prepping for labor to post labor with the same oils.
Mm-hmm. I know that geranium helps with a lot of urinary tract health as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've made like UTI blends before that had geranium, and a lot of other labor oils that I use have geranium in it.
Yes, it's just the smell. Like, I don't love the smell.
Yeah.
So I don't worry about the price because I have so many oils. So I do equal parts of all of them, and just, I don't care. I'm like, I'm having somebody's baby. I can spend whatever I want.
Right. Yeah. Well, a quick sad story though is, I broke a whole bottle of helichrysum once.
Oh yeah. That you're like on the floor rolling in it.
I was.
Can I soak it? Yeah.
I actually have it in a tiny jar, and there's shattered pieces of glass with it because I was like droppering it up and putting it in there because I was like, my precious, I can't waste this oil.
Yes, I have done that. I mean, my daughter one time took like 15 drops of helichrysum and rubbed them into her head. I was like, you just wasted so much oil on your head.
Which is why she can now paint portraits as an almost 4-year-old.
Yes.
So
yes, there you go. Yes. We'll blame it on the oil.
Right. Well, that's really good information. And I also know that there's also a lot of positions that can help prevent tearing as well if you're prone to that. Laboring positions and different techniques and stuff like that. So, that's just like awesome information for people. I know there's a lot of people who are like, I want to at least try something that could potentially work, or I tore with my last one. I'm terrified of this one, So, if you do have the resources and you can invest in something like that, it's definitely an amazing option. So
let's finish talking about my healing of my uterus through all my pregnancies, because I don't think this gets talked about a lot, which was surprising to me to find out. Like, after I had Jake, I had to heal from an epidural, and then your uterus contracts and it can get pretty painful. With Jake, it was really pretty mild, my uterine contractions, but I had a lot of back pain from healing from the epidural. So I had back cramps.
Yeah.
And back then I went to a perinatologist because they thought I couldn't get pregnant. So I was seeing a specialist, but she was shocked that my uterus looked like I never had a baby before. It shrunk up so well. So when I had Hazel, I just expected to go through the same thing. But with Hazel, it was so painful. The uterine contractions were horrific. Every time I breastfed, I would have this horrible pain. And then my back on top of it from the epidural, the cramping. And now I get epidurals for me. Everyone's afraid of them because they hear horror stories. It is like a dental injection for me. It is way easier than giving blood, in my opinion.
Okay, dental injection for me is worse than giving blood, and the worst possible thing that could happen to me. I'd rather push a baby out of my vagina, which I've never done before, than have a dental injection.
Well, see, my stepdad's a dentist and he's awesome. So it's like so easy to get a dental injection.
Well, good for you, Amber.
So what else can I I can't think of anything else to refer it to. But anyway, epidurals for me are a piece of cake. Like I don't feel it. It doesn't hurt. I don't have any issues with it. And it works every time. It may not work perfectly, but it works enough exactly the way it's supposed to for me. So it's easy. So then afterwards, having this cramping is pretty annoying, but I'm like, okay, I can deal with it. But then with Jason, oh my gosh, it was so bad. And then on top of it, when he was in and out of the hospital and having to sleep on weird beds, it was so painful for so long. So for me, I was prepared for that this time. And for Hazel and Jason both, with Hazel, we used oils all through my delivery because I had you helping me. With Jason, it was too fast. I didn't get to use anything. But I will say that for the pain that you get in your back from epidural and on your uterus, using black pepper essential oil and Aroma Touch blend from doTERRA, they're really helpful for pain management. And then basil helps your milk come in, and basil is a really good one for your abdomen because it's a pain reliever. I don't think legally I'm supposed to say those words with oils, but I'm not trying to cure anything. I'm just trying to help with symptoms.
I use a lot of black pepper that's in my doula kit. I have oils in there, and if moms want me to use oils, I do. And black pepper I know is in my oil blend for back labor.
Yeah. So post-op though, the black pepper Aroma Touch blend on your back is going to get blood flowing if you've had an epidural and you're having, you have some scar tissue there. So getting the blood flowing to heal quicker and the pain from the cramping. Basil, black pepper, and Aroma Touch should definitely be in somebody's kit that wants to try essential oils. And then I have to say, the number one thing about going through labor, since you have no idea what you're getting yourself into, whether it's going to be fast or slow or long or short or whatever, is just get a diffuser going. Have somebody in charge of putting a diffuser on for you. If you're into oils, not only will they help with keeping the bad bacteria away from you and your baby, because there's like over 50 hospitals now that even diffuse in their air vents because they know how much it helps stop MRSA outbreaks. So you're going to bring a new baby into a bacteria-filled world, which will be fine. Don't get paranoid. You have, it will be fine. But having a diffuser blend that you like the smell of, don't try to research the best one. Just smell stuff and pick something that smells amazing to you that makes you really happy.
Well, it's really comforting, and that also helps provide that environment for you. But I also know one of the births I did in Chicago here, they didn't allow diffusers in the room.
Oh, see, and I have never met a hospital that wouldn't let me plug it in. I don't ask, though. I just do it.
I just do it. Yeah, I was at a birth this last year that they wouldn't let us use it. So,
yeah, that's crazy.
If they do let you use it, do it. If not, there's actually these really cool necklaces, and I have one. My sister-in-law got it for me, and it's a lava rock, and you could put like a dot of oil on it. But I always tell people to try to create that environment for you. And I think something that smells good or that's calming to you or, something that you enjoy definitely helps create that, that environment in there because you're out of your element. You're not at home. You're in a different bed. You're in a different, so just being comfortable where you're at. And there's memory sense and things like that attached to it as well. So
yeah,
I think that's really good.
And then I always use fennel for my milk to come in and whatnot.
So basil and fennel, folks.
Yeah, basil helps with milk coming in.
I'm not going to let you give away all of your oil secrets because I'm going to make you do a Patreon episode with me on oils. Patreon is my subscription thing that half of the proceeds every month go to women in need. So you can't give away all your secrets right now, Amber.
Okay. I won't then.
All right, I'm going to take a second to talk to you guys about a company that is helping people from anytime, anywhere that you have a problem, and that is BetterHelp. It is an online counseling that is there for you. Whether you're struggling with depression, stress, anxiety, anger, just things going on in society. It can be scary sometimes, and we don't always have the support that we need in our close friends or family, or sometimes there's things that you may not feel comfortable talking to them about, and that is why BetterHelp is so amazing. Anything that you share is confidential. If you're not happy with your counselor for any reason, you can always get a new one. They have 3,000 U.S. licensed therapists all over the States, and it is available to you worldwide. So when I say they're helping people anytime from anywhere, they are helping people from anytime, anywhere. And you can talk to them through text. If you just want to shoot a quick text message over to say how you're feeling, you can have a chat, you can do phone, you can do video, whatever you feel comfortable with. They are there for you. And you can start communicating within 24 hours of reaching out for help. I know sometimes booking appointment anywhere, it's weeks out in advance, but they're so good at getting you help as soon as you can, just getting somebody to listen to you. And they are available from your mobile phone, from your desktop. Like I said, you can do video or phone sessions. There's so many different expertise in the group too. So you can really find what you're looking for. And financial aid is available for those who qualify. It's secure, it's convenient, it's professional, and better yet, it is affordable. And I do want to say, though, it is not a crisis line, but for all your other needs, they are there. And best of all, it's so affordable, and the Babes and Babies podcast listeners get 10% off your first month with the discount code BABIES. So why not get started today? Go to betterhelp.com/babies. Simply fill out a questionnaire to help them assess your needs and get matched with a counselor that you will love. That's betterhelp.com/babies.
Okay. So getting sick after birth.
Yes.
And healing. So if you're not into essential oils, but you're into herbs, my doula made me because I got sick and she was so worried about me, she made me an herbal tea for my vagina. Mm-hmm. So, maybe you don't know because people on here don't always already have kids, but they give you a squirt bottle of water to every time you pee, you squirt yourself off and wash it off because you're going to have blood and you don't want blood to stick to you and then have to scrub it off. You want it to be comfortable. So, what she did is she said you could sit in a sitz bath and soak because they were worried about my sickness turning into an infection. But I didn't want to sit on a toilet in a bathroom. Yeah. I didn't want to move. Like I felt sick. So I just added the tea diluted it in some water and squirted it down there. And I healed so fast, like so quickly. Yeah. I went and got sugared 4 weeks after I had this baby.
Wow.
And it was not painful. My skin healed.
I make herbal tea baths as well. I think that those are so amazing for you and even the newborn as well for the baby.
Yeah. And then the Chlorfresh, the liquid chlorophyll you take internally, and they say it's like cleans you out. And when I got my fever within 4 hours, my fever broke with the Chlorfresh, and it did not come back because I wanted to breastfeed. I didn't want to use any peppermint. Peppermint naturally helps reduce a fever, but I didn't want to use that. And then I told her, I said, I feel too achy to want to put anything on myself. So she is not as in-depth to oils. She's more herbal. So she rubbed this arnica all over my back. Mm-hmm. And then she put my oils on my feet for me and then had me. So arnica is, I would say, an herbal. Or it's
an enzyme almost. It's because it's derived from pineapple. It's like the anti-bruising and I don't know. I know that arnica is in an enzyme that's in pineapple, but I don't know if it is an enzyme.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what I would say it's on the herbal side of things more. It's definitely not essential oil.
Yeah, I also know that that's good for hemorrhoids. Arnica, if you start to get, it's an anal fissure. Like sometimes after you have babies, you have problems with your butthole too. Arnica cream helps with that as well.
Well, arnica is a really good pain reliever. Yeah. So when you're achy and sore. Mm-hmm. So you can use it even if you're not sick with achy, sore, lower back, hips. Yeah. I mean,
they gave it to me after I got my boobs done, actually.
Oh. Yeah. Well, that was a good alternative.
I know. Plastic surgery and arnica. What up?
Yeah. Well, if you are not a surrogate and you have your baby, you're all of a sudden like this all the time. Like, even if you're not breastfeeding, you're still holding a baby kind of hunched over. So no matter what, you're going to have back pain. You're going to have aches. You're going to have soreness everywhere, all over. in places you didn't, especially if you're a first time mom, in places you're not used to. You're not used to carrying a baby around, hip or newborn, or like you just use muscles that you're not so used to. So having arnica, they make it in creams and gels, having that and essential oils, anything that can help you be more comfortable when you've just had a baby, whether it's a surrogate baby or your own baby. Obviously for me, my post-op was so much easier as far as I didn't have a newborn to take care of. Mm-hmm. My biggest struggle was that I had a really hard time getting my milk to come in. I had colostrum for an entire week, and then I finally got milk, but I just never got a lot. And am I allowed to do this? I would so recommend Legendary Milk Company products. They are amazing. Mm-hmm. It's Legendary, like cow milk dairy.
Oh, okay.
And everything they sell is organic, and their products help your milk. So I can't say that my milk all of a sudden doubled in the amount, but when I found out William was going back to China earlier than I expected and I wouldn't be pumping as long, I stopped taking him to save money because she's paying for all this stuff. I felt bad to spend your money when she doesn't need to spend it. And my milk reduced. Yeah. So, and they also...
what happened after? So, I mean, she hired the nanny who then gave William the bottle. And then, so those of you, like, if you did miss anything of last episode, Amber was a surrogate for a baby named William. So we're finishing that story as well. So did you, I guess, breastfeed him anymore after that, or pump for him after that at all?
So I breastfed him from the moment he was born for 12 hours, tried, latching, getting your colostrum to come in. After the 12 hours, she gave him the bottle. I started pumping the next morning. And I kind of feel like that I was really successful at breastfeeding. Pumping was just so hard for me. I didn't like, it didn't feel good. It was annoying to have to be on such a schedule with my babies. It was, cluster feeding and whenever they wanted to, and it wasn't so scheduled. It was on demand, and you have this baby and they're so happy when they're breastfeeding. Instead, it was when I heard William cry with the nanny in the middle of the night, I'd wake up and my boobs would be like, oh, it's time to make milk because he's crying. And instead I had to attach myself to a machine, instead of a baby.
Yeah.
So it was definitely harder. And the fact that I wasn't producing enough. I know the nanny didn't mean anything by it, but she only spoke Mandarin, and she'd take the bottle of what I could produce. And we were only together for 3 days. And then they went down to to Newport Beach. But she would take my bottle and be like, look at it like, that's it. And I'm
no.
F you. I'm hormonal and tired. And I'm like, F you, mother effer.
Yeah.
I'm like mean and cranky going like, don't judge me. I can produce milk, damn it. Mm-hmm. Let me try to prove you wrong. And then I couldn't prove her wrong because, they left, and it was good they left. I had time to heal, and I had time to figure out what it was about. I wasn't emotional about him going with his mom and leaving. And I had let myself get past the fact that I couldn't pump enough and that he was going to be given a bottle and supplement formula. And I was okay. But there's still stuff that's in your body that is healthiest if you can find it and let it go or release it or whatever. And so I was really lucky. My doula this time does an Ayurvedic treatment on all her customers to help with lymph movement, which is what I really struggle with, is lymph for me. My lymph gets sluggish. And when she did it on me, she had never done a surrogate mom before, but she stuck me in this steam tent afterwards with so steam was going over my entire body and up my vagina. And she stuck me in a tent at our Airbnb that we had rented. And she said, I'm going to leave you here alone because I want you to let your body feel whatever it is you need to feel and let it go. And I'm like, girl, you don't know me. I'm not going to cry. You're here. Like, there's no way.
Right, yeah.
I'm not going to let myself be emotional. Even if there's something I'm holding on to, I'm going to be strong and not be emotional. But I couldn't help. I had tears fall. I was sweating. And I had just been sick. I'm trying to pump all night long. It's just, I let a little bit go. I definitely didn't let it all out, but I let a little bit go. And then it put me on the path to be like, okay, what is it that I'm feeling about being a surrogate? I got done being a surrogate and I want to be a surrogate again. And I'm like, I thought I'd just do this once, and just have the experience and move on. But my kids got a relationship with people that they would have never met otherwise. We have like a family that we never would have had otherwise. And I honestly feel so powerful and special growing a human. And then when I'm not pregnant anymore, usually I'm breastfeeding and I'm sustaining a human to help them grow. And without breastfeeding, it was like coming down off a high of my drug of choice.
Yeah.
I was pregnant. I was powerful. I was special. I was growing a human. And then I come crashing down to just a normal average person, and I'm chunky and flabby and I have no baby. And it's annoying. Like, your first week, you still have a gut. And I literally had 3 people ask me if I was pregnant that don't know me. I'm like, can you please go die?
Oh my gosh. I think it's so rude when people ask people if they're pregnant and then you don't know.
Well, the thing is, I shouldn't feel bad because it was like, it's only been 2 months since I had a baby. Like, It's okay if I have a gut. It should be okay that I have a gut. But it's hard for me to not hold the baby going, look, I have a gut because I have this baby.
Right.
It's really hard for me to accept my body with extra fat and flab and all that. It's hard for me. So all I wanted was to be pregnant again so I could have a reason for, my body shape. So because I can't yet, I have been doing yoga 3 times a week like I did when I was pregnant, and I'm going to start swimming this Friday, and I started Bikram today, and I bought myself $250 worth of Lululemon pants so that I could be sucked in. And
right. $200 worth of Lululemon pants is 2 pairs of pants. So
yes, that's what I bought. 2 pairs of pants.
Right. Oh my God.
But I spent my entire last non-accountable check on slimming pants and nice shoes for my feet, and so my feet wouldn't hurt, and body work.
All right, my listeners out there who have breasts, I'm going to talk about a bra that I know you've heard me talk about before because I love it. I actually have a couple of them and love wearing them. And it is my Third Love bra. And the reason that I love it is because it's the first bra that I've had that fits like a glove. And the reason it fits like a glove is because they have a fit finder quiz. You answer a few simple questions to find out your perfect fit. It takes less than a minute, and there's over 12 million women who have taken this quiz to date. It's actually kind of fun, and I learned a little bit about myself. I thought my boobs were a different size, but I was wrong. And most women out there are wearing the wrong size, because things like shape matter. And another one of the wonderful things about Third Love is that they have half cup sizes. They do everything that they can to make your bra fit your body. They have straps that don't slip. There's tagless labels, so there's no itching. And every customer has 60 days to wear it, wash it, and put it to the test. And if you don't love it, Third Love will wash it and donate it to a woman in need. So you guys know I love companies that give back. And I love that they're not wasting it, that they are giving it to somebody who actually needs it. And they have an expert team of fit stylists that are dedicating to help you find that perfect fit. It's lightweight. They have super thin memory foam cups to mold to your shape. And the newest member to the Third Love family is their line of incredibly soft, smooth, and breathable cotton bras. I have to be honest, I haven't tried these yet, but I'm gonna, because my other 2 bras that I have from them, seriously love. But right now, Third Love, they know that there's a perfect fit for everyone. So right now they're going to offer the listeners 15% off your first order. So go to thirdlove.com/babes now to find your perfect fitting bra and get 15% off your first purchase. That's thirdlove.com/babes to get 15% off today.
Most of the questions that we got was, how do you not be attached to your baby? Well, I mean, it's not your baby. How do you not be attached to the baby after carrying it for 9 months? I would say, like, literally out of 100 questions, that was 80 of them.
So just remember, like, you're getting yourself into this. It's not like, I want to do this. Tomorrow you get a transfer and then you didn't know what you got yourself into. Like,
Right.
you had to be evaluated. You had to be blood tested. You had to go through weeks of attorneys talking back and forth about a 51 to 61 page document. I mean, you're getting a check from these people that you're cashing and putting in your bank account. It is a job.
Mm-hmm.
You just happen to be growing a human for that job. And I have my kids at home and they take up every ounce of me. In my family, they tell you they do not want you as a surrogate unless you're done having kids. Like,
right.
they ask you that over and over again.
Yeah.
If you want another kid, they will not accept you. Now, obviously you could change your mind after having a surrogate baby because you're not fixed. Tubes aren't tied, or, you haven't had a hysterectomy, but they ask that question. And if you think you want another baby, they will not accept you. So I already knew my family is full. My family is done. I do not want another kid. I want to experience something new and different. And I want to do something that makes me uncomfortable and see what happens. And I feel like I got a lot out of this too. I got money that I could put in a college fund for my kids, or buy a piece of property with, or, I got an experience for my children with a completely different family from a different culture.
Yeah.
I got so much out of this. And in return, I grew a baby and I handed over. So the attachment for me, there was never a doubt in my mind that I wanted to deliver a happy, healthy baby and would do whatever it took to get that for her. But that always, this was her baby. I was playing Mandarin recordings of their voices from 20 weeks to 38 weeks.
Right.
Like, I was in contact with her at least weekly, and some weeks daily when things were, amping up. I was going to doctor's appointments that were scheduled that there were choices I couldn't make. There was doctor's appointments I couldn't miss. If it was my kid, I'd been like, whatever, I'm not going to do that because I know I'm fine. But as a surrogate baby, you can't make that choice. You have to show up to that appointment whether everything's good or not. So there was never a separation for me between the fact that this was a job and I'm growing somebody else's baby and it's somebody else's DNA.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never let it get to the point of like, oh, this is my baby, I need to take care of and comfort. And so,
well, how do you deal with, I guess,
there.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. But how do you deal with, I guess, friends and family while you're pregnant? And I guess like the explanation of like, oh, this isn't my baby. This,
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I had prepared my friends and family for a while. So everyone knew how sick I get. And so everyone was shocked. Like, how could you possibly want to do this for somebody? Like, it's not worth it. And I said, well, I mean, they all know me. They're not going to talk me out of something. They know once I get my mindset on something, they just have to get on board with it.
Right.
But it was more strangers like, oh, you're pregnant. Congratulations. I'm like, well, thanks, but it's not mine. Like, yes, congratulations. I was able to grow a human, but it's not my baby. And they're like, what? Wait, I don't get it. And then there's like 100 questions, but, it wasn't a hardship for me. It was just another fun experience, wild ride of my life that I wanted to do.
Yeah. A fun experience, wild ride. You crack me up, Amber.
I'm really, really open with my kids. So people a lot of times ask me, well, what about your kids? Like, how are they handling it? That they see their mom pregnant. It's not going to be their brother or sister. But, I showed my first son pictures of births because he wanted to know how his sister was surviving in my stomach.
Right.
Like, I'm very, very open with my kids about life, death, birth, everything. So they always knew, like, do you want to see how big baby William is right now? And when Angela came to town, Hazel would call her China Mom because she would buy her dolls and dresses and, and tell Hazel that she's going to take her to Shanghai Disney one day. And, so I wanted them to meet the parents of William. Like, they can't have a baby and they want one. So we're going to grow this baby for them. And you guys got to help. You could talk to him. And, my youngest is 2.5 now. So he's the one who understood the least. Mm-hmm. But once he started seeing my belly come in and I'd show him the apps that show how big the baby is and what he looks like on the inside, And I have videos of him talking to William. He's like, knocks on my stomach, baby William, hello in there,
Mm-hmm.
And Hazel yelling at my baby, wake up, when are you coming out?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and then they didn't get to be there when he was born. So 2 or 3 days after his birth, I drove them 3 days after. No, I lied. A week after he was born, I drove the kids down to Newport Coast, and we stayed with Angela and William and the nanny and for 3 days, and they got to hang out with him and see him. And the crazy thing was that Angela said, even though your kids are noisy and loud, because I was so freaking out, like, be quiet, kids, be quiet. Like, you can't make all this noise. There's a baby. And they're, of course, like, ah. And Angela's like, he hasn't slept this well since we left you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he remembered their craziness.
Yeah.
He remembered their noises, and that comforted him.
Mm-hmm.
I was teaching Jason the ABCs through my pregnancy. And so when I would sing the ABCs to William, he calms down and falls asleep.
Mm-hmm.
When I sing Twinkle, Twinkle, because that's what Hazel once sung to her every night, he would fall asleep. And up to this point, I hardly held him because I didn't want to interfere with his connection with his mom.
Yeah.
So I would talk to him, and I would, check in on him and Angela, but I didn't hold him, and I tried not to. So it wasn't until the week of Valentine's Day, I drove down there to say goodbye to them because they left Valentine's morning. And I held him a lot while I was down there. And he really still remembers me. But he also, you can see how much he remembers his mom and dad's voices. And that's comforting to him too. So I know the question I get all the time, even from my friends still that watched me go through this. Like Ashley's like, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I am not overly emotional. So it's a hard question for me to relate to. You have to know what you're getting yourself into. You have to know it's the job.
I guess going there Valentine's Day weekend and holding him and saying goodbye, was that hard for you?
No. I mean, honestly, when he got fussy, because he's had formula, right? So he's kind of having some fussy gas stuff. He's getting a little bit of rashes on his cheeks from the formula and not having only breast milk, normal stuff like digestive stuff from transition from birth. And when he would cry and, I'm holding him and the nanny's like getting dressed in her jammies. So I'm like, I'll hold him for you. You go get ready for bed, and I'll deal with him. And he's crying and I'm like, thank God I'm not having to do this every day.
Yeah.
Like I've done this 3 times. I don't want to do this again. Like I honestly, I don't know, maybe it's like what you could relate to a grandmother having her first grandchild. Like you totally want to be there. You totally want to love this kid. You totally want to be one of their buddies in life, but you want to send them home to their parents.
Right.
Like for me, that's how it is.
Right. Did you guys, I guess, do you have a relationship with Angela and William and stuff from here moving forward, or no? Not at all.
So Angela, out of the 2 years, could only get 2 healthy embryos. And so as soon as I took the first, she hired a second surrogate to carry her second. And he is due March 16th.
Oh
so
my
she's
gosh.
coming back down. They will be twins. As she calls them the twins. And so I'm going to go meet Charlie, her second one, and see her. And William was supposed to stay here, and I was supposed to pump for 6 months. Our contract only said 6 weeks, but her and I decided I would pump as long as I could, as long as they were in the country. Well, her sister was going to get her visa and fly out here to help her with both babies, and her visa got declined.
Oh, man.
So that's why they went home early. So I only got to pump for 8 weeks instead of 6 months like I thought it was going to be, or 5 months. So they went home, and then she is going to leave William with her sister to come get Charlie because she doesn't want to fly him back and forth. And so she'll have to leave William with her sister and her husband for 6 weeks while she's out here doing passports and visas and the whole bit to be able to go home. But I'm going to go see Angela and the baby. And then since I first met her, literally like the second time I ever met her, we've talked about my family going to China to see where William will grow up. And so we have the ideas of having a relationship going forward. I mean, life happens.
Right.
I kind of feel like if we lost touch today and I never saw William again, and he found me when he was 18 years old and was like, dude, I want to come to the United States. Can I come stay with you? I'd be like, sure, as long as you're not a douchebag, like if my own kids wanted to come home from college and they were douchey, I'd be like, dude, you got to go back to school. I can't have you here. I'd treat him like one of my kids as far as, be respectful, come see California. We'll show you everything we can. It's like an exchange student that you happen to grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
That's so crazy.
I don't want to have all these controlled ideas about how this relationship's going to go moving forward and then be disappointed that it doesn't go that way, or then you force something and then it ends up not being as good as you'd hoped. I just, I loved what I've got to experience so far. I have an idea of some ways we can stay in touch. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And it's going to be okay.
I guess like a lot of other people asked, I want to be a surrogate for my best friend, or I want to be a surrogate for my sister, and
yeah.
I mean, do you have any advice surrounding that?
For both parties, I would suggest going through an agency that can be agencies make it a little more expensive. And so I think people go, I'm just going to do this for them. The problem is there are things you would never think about on either side of the party, even after having kids. Mm-hmm. Like going through IVF is not like having your own kid.
Right.
And if you have sex at the wrong time, you can totally mess it up. Mm-hmm. And even if they're your sister, can you tell me that there's no doubt in your mind that they wouldn't sue you to get their money back after all that money they just spent on you? Because all the IVF is out of pocket. And then you slip one night, you have, you drink a couple shots of tequila and you and your husband have sex, and then you screw up everything they just spent their money on. And it was just an accident. And I mean, it's just weird stuff like that. Or do you know what, they write in there that they don't want you to have sex for so many weeks after you get your transfer. Well, I told my attorney, my husband has a vasectomy, so does it even matter? And she said they're really strict on this no matter what, because this is the funny part. They're worried about the sex being aggressive enough to make you miscarry. And she said, I looked at my doctor and said, wow, I am really flattered that you think my sex life is that awesome that I could have sex aggressive enough to miscarry a baby.
Right.
Because the likelihood is probably 0.001%.
I've actually never even heard of that in my life.
Right. But they've spent so much money that they're not willing to take any risks. And if this is a friend or a sister and you guys are trying to cut corners by saving money and you don't, who would ever think of this? I would never have thought of that. I'd been like, my husband can't have kids anymore, so who cares? And then what if you did? And what if it wasn't even your fault? They can sue you because you're in breach of contract if it's contractual. But when you guys are just like, oh, everyone means well, we're going to try this out.
Right. Well, I know, you have to already have kids of your own and you have to be done having kids.
Yes.
Because, I know for me, even if I wanted to be a surrogate, I don't know if I would want my first pregnant experience to be with somebody else's baby. And that makes sense because you're experiencing all those things for the first time. It's so new. You would probably have a different emotional connection. Whereas you're like, I'm done having kids. I have a perfectly good uterus. I'd love to give back in this way for a family who can't have a baby. So I'm going to let my body be the vessel to do that.
Yeah.
That.
And not only that
makes
but
sense.
They need to know, do you get gestational diabetes? Do you get crazy blood pressure issues when you're pregnant? Do you have...
Right. They need to go off your experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And no one wants to pay you to carry their baby when your body is going to abort that baby because of something that you didn't know existed in you.
What, I guess, would you say is the biggest challenge of being a surrogate?
The changes that you have to make in your life when you're carrying your own baby, the sacrifices you make, with reducing work hours, or if you're sick and in bed, or hormonal fluctuations in personality, crankiness and whatnot. It's just part of the game, right? You signed up for this, it's your baby and it's worth it. When it's somebody else's baby, there are times where you're like, I would have been my cousin's wedding. she was getting married outside of the range I was allowed to legally travel. Because, okay, so once you do all the paperwork, if you accidentally go into labor early and have the baby out of state, all the paperwork is null and void. And that is your friggin' baby. And then they have to pay for everything the attorneys did all over again to get their baby back from you.
Oh my gosh.
And you would think like, oh, I'm just going to hand it over to them. It doesn't matter. But they can't get passports. They can't get visas. They can't get all the stuff they need for their baby without all the paperwork. And so after 18 weeks, you can't go out of state. And they didn't want me to travel more than 100 miles. But I don't live within 100 miles of anything. So I made it 185 miles. But my cousin was getting married right around my cutoff point, just over 185 miles away. And our dads are identical twins. So we're like half sisters genetically. You know, we're not close on a daily basis, but we're very close. Like we were raised together, you know, and I'm like, I would just have to not go to her wedding because of the surrogacy. Like I'm giving that up. So I stayed within my range. And then for the hour went to her wedding.
Oh, wow.
And then went back to the hotel within the range. But, you know, there was doTERRA stuff I couldn't do because it's out of state. There was a healing retreat I go to almost every year I couldn't go to because it was out of state. You know, there were surrogate parties that down in LA with the agency that they put on for surrogates to get to know each other and be around people going through the same thing that I couldn't go to because I was too far away. You know, all these little things you don't think about. And, you know, they're paying you good amount of money and yet, for where I lived, like the driving, the amount, when I thought of what they were going to compensate me to drive to the doctors, you know, they could compensate by the mile. But what I didn't think about was I had to pay for a babysitter for the amount of time it took me to get there, then to wait for the doctor to see me, and then for the amount of time it took me to get home. So I'm paying for all this babysitting on top of my gas, on top of the wear and tear of my car, on top of taking the 3 hours out of my life that I could have been doing something productive.
Right.
There are definitely things you don't think about. And so I don't regret any of it, even with all those things. But when I called them and said, I want to be a surrogate again, I said, I'm not doing it without you paying me more money though. You know, not because it's not that this is only about the money, but this needs to be worth it to my family.
Right.
You know, money is not evil in my opinion. And so I want to be compensated for what I feel like my worth is. And, you know, some people would say they wouldn't do it for under $1 million.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I'm doing it way less than that. But I need to know that if I'm reducing my income, that I'm getting compensated in other ways for all the things I'm doing for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there are all these little things you have to think about.
I met a lady when I was took a doula class in Texas a couple years ago, and she was a surrogate. She had 5 kids of her own, and she was a surrogate. She was 8 months pregnant when we were in the course together. And she said the same thing you did. She was like, it doesn't feel like my baby. I know that this is my body, but she's like, I don't have that attachment to the baby. You know, she's like, I just know that it's not my baby. I'm growing this for someone who wants this kid. This is their child that I'm growing it. And that's just, you know, I don't have that attachment. I love it. I'm taking care of it. But it's not mine.
Yeah. But, so Liz, think of it as your sister's kids. Like you would die for them. You'd do anything for them.
Right.
But they're not yours, and you're not going to sneak over to your sister's and steal one and take it home.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Maybe for a night and your sister would thank you for it, but not forever.
Right. I do until they keep me out. Then like I'm done.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's the same thing. You're like all the time and effort you put into your kids, like you're not necessarily willing to do that for somebody else's kid, even though you grew it.
Right. No, that's true. I guess then what would be your biggest piece of advice to somebody who's looking into surrogacy to become one for a family?
So number one, start talking to your support system around you before you even do it, because whether they agree with you or not, whether they think it's a good idea or not, like just being able to talk to the people around you about what you're going through and them not judging you on your decision and just listening, that was huge. And then 2, find an agency that you like, everyone that works there. Find an agency where all the people that work there have been surrogates before. That's why I chose mine. I chose mine because almost every employee has been a surrogate. Even my attorney had been a surrogate before.
Wow. That's
and so
crazy.
Every one of them has had an experience as a surrogate. So you could literally ask any of them anything and they're like, oh, this is what happened for me, which is going to be different than what's going to happen for you, because that's just the name of the game. But they can at least talk to you about it. And you're going to be dealing with these people as like a middleman. So you want to like them. You don't want to be like, oh, she's so annoying. Okay, I can't wait to meet my family and then get rid of her. It's possible that she will be your middleman, or it will be your middleman for the whole pregnancy. So, and then, think about, manifest your ideal intended parent or parents, and then let everything go and just let it happen. If this is what you signed up for, it's going to either work or it's not. And the more you stress out about every little detail, I was on the phone. You have to be on these therapy phone call things, support calls every month. And there were a lot of girls that lost their first transfer.
Oh, wow.
And then they had to sit and wait to be able to do it again. And so it can happen. So just let the experience happen for you the way it's supposed to. Don't hang on to any preconceived notion of how it is going to be. Yeah.
Is it something that you would do again?
I'm going to get pregnant again in probably October. I go for my psych evaluation. I just had my PAP today to clear me. And then I go for my psych evaluation on the 18th of March. But I'm going to request that I find a family that doesn't mind waiting until toward the end of the year. Because I want 9 months for my body to heal completely.
Yeah.
I want to be in the best shape of my life before doing this for pregnancy for a fifth time.
Wow. You're a beast, Amber.
It's my drug of choice. So I'm just, on the search for the next hit.
Oh my gosh. Give me another pregnancy. Obviously I've never been pregnant before, but my periods are pretty regular, but sometimes hormones can affect that and sometimes sex can affect that. And I think just with the wedding this last week and everything, my period was a few days late and I was freaking out because we just got married and Vito's like, maybe you're pregnant. And I was like, I better not be. I'm not ready for it yet. But, I know everybody's experience is completely different. We want kids one day, just not yet, Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see.
Congratulations that you're married, though.
Oh, thank you.
Nothing has to be rushed.
Oh, no, not at all. Yeah, he's awesome. He's such a great guy, and I'm super excited for whatever our future holds.
Yes, and I just think it's so important not to rush into having babies. Let it happen and let yourself have some fun being married.
Yeah, that's what we're looking forward to, for sure. Like I said, we definitely want kids, so, but we don't want to actively try it this time, so we'll see what life throws at us,
Yeah, you can try, just don't. You can try to get pregnant.
I'm going to say we're going to practice. We're going to practice. We're not going to
practice for it.
So most of the questions that people asked was basically about attachment. I feel like most women just can't really fathom that, but I feel like you addressed that really beautifully. And I feel like, I do think that we kind of tackled a lot.
Yes.
So I definitely want to have you on my Patreon to talk more about a lot of this stuff. But if anybody wants to follow, I guess, your journey or learn more about what you do with oils or your surrogacy, where would be a good place to follow you?
Well, I mostly am on Instagram, and then everything I post on Instagram, I have shared on Facebook. And on Instagram, I'm Amber M. Campion. And Campion is with no H. It's not champion, it's Campion.
It's like champion with no H.
And my middle initial, M, is in the middle of my name. And I try to post stuff on there. I have been meaning to post a little bit more about the emotional stuff I experienced, like we talked about on this show or this podcast, but I haven't really. For me, it was, I don't like to read huge long stories on Instagram. So it was, I think, better that it was just meant to be that we did this podcast, because then I can just refer people to your podcast, and sometimes writing it out too.
Hey, listen to this.
It's just, writing is not always my forte. So this worked out good. But as I go through this next surrogacy, you can follow this process and see how it matches up to my first one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be amazing. I would love to see. I remember the post you made, though, about you giving birth and getting hit by the ambulance and all of that. And I had forgotten until you told me the story. And then I remember, because I read that to Vito and his mom. I was like, oh my gosh, my friend who's having a baby, like, got hit by an ambulance, like all this stuff. I was like, this is the craziest story ever. So it's just like so amazing that you guys were healthy and everyone's good and everything turned out so well, you know? So,
I know.
But thank you so much for coming on. If you guys know someone who is a surrogate or wants to be a surrogate, or is looking to find one, just have them listen to these last couple episodes. There's a lot of information. Or even somebody who is looking to do things kind of naturally with the oils, as far as recovering from birth, labor. There's tons of information about even just getting your breast milk in, or preventing from tearing, and healing blends and stuff like that. Also the vaginal health. I know we talked a lot about yeast and how hormones affect your vagina, especially when you're pregnant, but not only when you're pregnant, throughout a lot of things. So just have people listen to this. Don't forget to like, to share, to comment, and to follow the Patreon. And we will see you guys next week. Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by Wave Podcast Network. Check out all of our shows, including the Brain Candy Podcast, I Don't Get It, Coffee Convos, and Let's Talk About It.